So welcome back to the May 2022 Saturday Sampler here at Close to Home in Southington. So you can begin picking up your May kits this Friday, May 13th. Be sure to bring in your completed April block between May 13th and May 31st to receive this May kit free. Okay. Southington is looking for part-time help, so please call us at 860-793-6639 if you're interested. And also this Friday and Saturday, May 13th and 14th, we have select finish the bolts, receive 50% off the bolt on our counter. Okay, so this is our block for May of 2022. It is a 9-patch. We're going to be working with the Cat's Cradle, the Creative Grids Cat's Cradle ruler. We will be working with the large Flying Geese ruler, finishing at a 2x4 rectangle. The other Flying Geese is actually a rectangle, and we're going to be using the folded corner clipper to get the green side and the blue side. And last but not least is our center square, which is a finished 4-inch square, and we're going to be using the folded corner clipper for the green and blue strip, which I'll go over in a second. So 3 different units, and we'll probably just be going over the Cat's Cradle and quickly the folded corner clipper. Thank you. So lots of cutting in this month, so I'm going to put this out there. The purple dot, you're going to cut 2 pieces 6-inch by 5-inch. The next 4 squares are going to be 2 3/4 inch, and the last square is 5.5. On the white, you will need 4 2.5-inch squares, and the remainder are going to be 2.5-inch rectangles, 4.5 inches long. All right, so these are 4.5 long by 2.5 wide, and you'll need 4 of those. The multi-floral, here we are with these 2 3/4 inch markings again. The strip is 2 3/4, but the length is 3 3/4 each, so you'll have 4 rectangles that measure 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then the remainder of the multi-floral is just going to be a square 7 inches. And then we're down to the blue fabric, which is like a turquoise, and the lime green fabric. Each you'll have 1 piece each of those. We're going to cut the length of the kit, 2.5-inch strips, 2 of them. The first strip we're going to cut into 4 2.5-inch squares, and we're going to leave the second strip right sides together, which I'll show you in a minute, and we're going to use the Creative Grid folded corner clipper to cut our centerpiece. All right, so let's get started. So down here on the table, I have very quickly the blue and the green, the long strip that I did not cut from my half square from my squares. So I'm going to put those right sides together, and again, this is to make our half square triangles. I'm going to use the folded corner clipper, and we're just going to go ahead and place these 2.5-inch mark along the bottom of the strip, and this flat blunt edge at the top of the strip. And we're going to clean up one side, and then we're going to cut our first let me turn this way real quick. All right, so once we have these, we can take these right over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew our half square triangles to create, and we're going to do this 4 times, sorry. So there's the second one, third one, fourth one. Very simple, we've done it in the past. All right, so we're going to sew from this corner at 1/4 inch, and we're going to press them. We can press them all to the green or all to the blue, it's up to you. And once we do, we get our half square triangles. We're just going to set them up in a 4-patch for a pinwheel. All right, and I do believe I pressed all these to the green originally, and then when I put them together, I opened them flat because there's a lot of bulk going on in the corner of our pinwheel. All right, the other 2.5-inch squares that we cut, They're going to be part of a Flying Geese unit. We're not going to use our Flying Geese ruler, but we're going to use the folded corner clipper. So what we're going to do on this one, let me move this, is we're going to take our 4.5 by 2.5 inch rectangle that we cut out of our white. I'll put it like this so you can see it better. The green is going to go on this side to the right because I'm right-handed. I'm just going to show you quickly how to do this one. And I want to remove this corner so I can flip this one over. So I'll take my folded corner clipper, I'll place it in the corner. Again, the blunt tip of my folded corner clipper at the top. This is right down the side of my green square, 2.5 across, and it hugs it right here at the corner. When I remove this outer corner and take this to the sewing machine and sew straight down this black line here, I'll be able to go ahead and flip that and be my green. So you have to do all 4 green sides first, or all 4 blue sides, it doesn't matter, first. All right, so once we have this on, let's just pretend that's sewn. I'm going to take this blue square and I'm going to place it on this side, now that all these are flipped up. I want this corner removed, so I'm going to take my folded corner clipper and place it like this, because I want this corner removed. So the blunt side goes along the left side of my rectangle, along the bottom of my square, along this square, and hugs that corner. So now, I don't want to cut it because I haven't sewn it, but when we cut this side, we're going to be able to flip this one up. All right, and we have 4 units that are 2.5 by 4.5. All right, so to these we're going to finish up our Flying Geese. This time we're using the large Flying Geese ruler, and we're going to be using the 2-inch by 4-inch finish. These are all 2-inch by 4-inch finished, and what I did is I used the 7-inch multi-floral and the 5.5-inch purple dot, and made a normal Quilt in a Day Eleanor Burns 2x4 Flying Geese. All right, and I made 4 of them. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. You only need 4 of those. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the units that you did with the folded corner clipper and put the bodies of the geese together. And we're going to sew these units to make 4 of these units. And I'll show you on the board where this goes. And these come out really nice on the points. Whoopsies. So here it is. It's a 4-inch finished. It's going to go right here, 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 and one more side to this side. All right, so we have our pinwheel and we have our Flying Geese units. The next thing I want to talk about is the cat's cradle. We're using the Creative Grid Cat's Cradle ruler, and there's 2 ways to make the cat's cradle. We can make it just the normal cat's cradle or a split cat's cradle, and this is the one we're going to be using today in our block. So let's get started. We're going to take our 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 rectangles, and we're going to sew our, I believe it's our 2 3/4 purple dot on the end of each. Now I had to cut a couple more of these because I've already made some units, so I have 2 left here. We'll go ahead and make these. So just to the end of our rectangle. So I'm just going to put them on the right hand side, right sides together. And we'll go ahead and sew this 1/4. When you're working on your block, but I've already put 2 together, and match that right up so 1/4 of an inch here. We're going to press these toward the rectangle. So rectangle's up. Okay. Second step is to take 2 of these units and put them opposite sides. And go ahead and sew along the long side. So opposite ends. Put them right on top of each other and sew. Sometimes it's easier to sew from the rectangle to the square, and when I say that because you can control this on the top, and we know that the bottom one is going in the right direction. So sometimes it's easier so it doesn't flip to put this down on the bottom toward the feed dogs. So we'll do this. You'll have 2 of these units to do to sew together. Okay. Much like the flying geese tool, when we go to open these, to press these, hold on. We want the sides of the squares, that 2 3/4 square, to come out this way and this way. So like we do on the flying geese, we need to cut into the seam allowance in order to be able to flip that. So I'm going to take this and just give it a snip right to the seam allowance. All right, easy enough. Now we can press this side flat, and we can press this side flat, which is really important. Okay, so the next step is to go find your friction pen. And we're going to draw our lines using the ruler. Hopefully there's not much of a glare on this. This is the Cat's Cradle ruler. I know we've used this in the past. Let me just explain it real quickly. On this side, place on seam, this solid black line is going to match up with the seams that we just sewed on our square, which I'll show you in a second. And then we're going to mark our sewing line. This side and this side are our 1/4 inch seam allowances that in a second we're going to use to trim our 2 units apart using our 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to make a sewing line, sew on the line, then trim them apart. And then the last step is to trim to size. So we can make cat's cradles anywhere from a 1.5 finished all the way to 4 inch finish. So obviously in our block for May, we are making the 4 inch finish. That's why I had you cut these purple dots 2 3/4, 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and the 5 by 6. All right, and it tells you exactly how many to cut to make 2 cat's cradles, but we need 4. All right, so I told you exactly what to cut. So I know this is going to be hard to see, but here is my seam line. It is with white thread or cream thread, and it goes in this square right here. So we're going to place the black line on the threads, just like that, as close as you can get it. So what's going to happen is when I mark my sewing line with my friction pen, I'm going to cut straight across the point of my square. So I'm not going to cut anything off. I want to be able to sew on it. So, but when I sew on it, I'm just going to be on that corner, just up to the outside of the corner. Let's do the other side. Show you one more time. We're going to place on the seam line, the black line, So I look in here, I'm looking here, I'm looking across here. This should pretty much closely come to the corner. This dashed line should closely come to the edge of our unit. Okay, so you know you're in the right ballpark. So we'll go ahead and mark this one more side. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to layer it with our 5x6. So right sides together. And we're going to go sew on the lines. Okay. You can pin it if you'd like. It's okay. It's no biggie. Right on the line. Right across the corner and continue all the way down. They don't fit perfectly on top of each other. That's okay because we have a lot of trimming to do. I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to do the next one. Right across where I drew my line. So right on that line. Okay. So now we're going to go use the ruler one more time on the 1/4 inch mark where it says 1/4 inch seam allowance, either on this side of the tool or this side of the tool. And we're going to place those on the pink line that I just drew with my marking side and that I just sewed on. All right, so that's my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I can go ahead and cut this away and I have a 1/4 inch seam from where I sewed. And we're going to do the same thing to this unit, so I'm just going to turn this. I'm going to place either of these two sides with the 1/4 inch seam allowance markings, lay that black line right on my seam, and go ahead and trim that off. Okay. All right, so now we're going to open this up and we're going to have a cat's cradle. See how that hit right on the seam line. Okay, so line up those marks and you'll come out really, really good. All right, so we're going to press this toward the large triangles. Give a little bit of heat and you'll notice my friction pen has disappeared. And again, we're going to press those right to the large triangle. And now we're going to trim them down to 4. Well, they'll be trimmed at 4.5, but you don't have to worry about that. So the first thing I like to do is in the corner of the purple dot that we have, I'm going to place the 4 inch marking. And you'll notice, the 4 inch marking also on this solid line where it says 4 inch also has a dashed line. Also has a dashed line that accompanies it. The 3.5 has a dashed line, the 3 has a dashed line. Those are for the other side finished sizes of finished cat's cradles. But we are working on a 4 inch finished. So this black line is going right on the seam, right here, just like that. So I have my 4. My black line is right on the seam. My dashed line is right between my triangle and my square. So you just got to kind of move it around a little bit. Get it as close as you can, best as you can. And we're going to trim these two sides. All right, so once these two sides are trimmed, we're going to turn it 180 degrees. We're going to place our ruler back down just the way it was. I have my 4 inch marking is touching or kissing right there at the corner of that square. This dashed line is going to go right down into the corner, and this should all match up very nice. So my dashed line goes across my seam. This is touching. This is on the corner. Go ahead and trim it. And that's pretty much a normal cat's cradle. Okay, but we're doing the split cat's cradle. So we're going to go ahead and grab our 2.5 inch white squares. We're going to place it in the corner, and we're going to use our folded corner clipper to remove the corner and flip this up. So if I want this corner removed, I need to place my ruler like this. Sorry, I just want to get this right in the corner. I'm going to place my ruler. The blunt side's up here, goes along the side of my square. The bottom is along my 2.5, and this little line over here hugs the other side of my square. So now when I trim this, I can then take this unit over to the sewing machine and sew again on where this black line represents. So let's go do that. And I will sew right down here, and I will get a split cat's cradle. It's important to make sure that you come out to the points, like you start right here and you get in the intersection right here, that 90-degree corner where you start, and where you're stopping, you come out the other 90-degree corner on this side. Right here. And now we can just flip this over because it's a folded corner clipper. And let's just fold this, and we have this unit. Alright. So this one is going to go in all 4 corners because we've made 4 of them. Alright, so we have this. We can start assembling some of our pieces. We have that, and we have this. This one's, we only have 1 of those, going to go in the corner. This one's going to start shaping our parallelograms here. So you see how it's going to come together, right? Hopefully. All right, when you're sewing these rows together and the pieces together, make sure that you don't cut off any of your little points here. You have a nice 1/4 inch in there, and then here you have your 1/4 inch here on both sides of this one. When I was done, here Heidi, if you could just look at the back of this. When I was done, I was pressing all my seams open because there was a lot going on. Obviously I told you about the pinwheel in the center, but as I was pressing these, I had a tendency to want to press my seams open, and it was easier because there was a lot of bulk in the corners where the 5 parts were all coming together. So that's it for May. I hope you come in, and again, call us if you're interested in working for us part-time. And again, the number is 860-793-6639, and take care. Thank you.